Hey guys, Nathan here, and it has been a long time. I'll briefly get into what I've been up to, and then I'll demonstrate the new set of autopilots I've developed. This is gonna be long, so here are timestamps for various sections. They'll also be in the comments and description. In early 2018, I started using Kerbal Operating System, or kOS, to land boosters like SpaceX, and uploaded a few videos to this channel. I wasn't very good at coding, so I borrowed code from Reddit user Caleb9000. With a few tweaks, I got it to land boosters precisely on land and on a drone ship, while also sending a payload to orbit. And I posted a GIF to the KSP subreddit, which blew up. Around a month after that, KSP was updated to version 1.4, which broke the autopilot completely. See, it was relying on the trajectories mod to predict the impact point, and accordingly steered the rocket. However, with that update, trajectories updated to version 2, and kOS could no longer connect to the trajectories API, even if trajectories was installed, which meant I couldn't use any trajectories functions with kOS. Another problem was that I couldn't land multiple boosters. Not because it's impossible, but because, again, I'm not very good at coding. Because of that and issues with scaling up the rockets, I had already started work on a parallel approach which uses math and a bit of trial and error to land the booster. In May of 2018, I got a job and I realized that I could no longer commit to recording quality videos due to time constraints, and I didn't want to push quantity over quality. So I stopped publishing videos entirely. Behind the scenes, I began putting together the new autopilot, and in September, I started a GitHub repository. As you can see, it was a mess and it didn't work very well either. After editing the code for the better part of a year and going through various iterations, which is worthy of a video in itself, I had a working set of autopilots for various scenarios. But real life commitments meant that in July 2019, I temporarily stopped pushing updates to the repository. I did modify the code when I had time, but now I can finally start pushing new features and posting videos again. I'm hoping for an update every month, beginning in March. For now, I'm just fixing bugs and adding small tweaks to the current version, which is version 2.4. I just released patch 2.4.1, and patch 2.4.2 will be up by the time this video is up. Next up, I'll walk you through how to build a reusable crew launch vehicle based on the code. Alright, so let's get started with building a ship. First, we start obviously with the crew pod, and we add a few parachutes, the heat shield, and then I'm gonna just go ahead and build a service module, just to get it around in space. I prefer the Terrier engine because it's a little lighter and thus gives you a slightly more delta V, and you can always compensate for the fact that it uses a 1.25 meter decoupler by using a fairing. I'll show that in a moment. For now, I'm just also I'll add a kOS core to the top of the capsule, so that, and that's for our happy little accident that happens later in the mission. And yeah, so right there we have just built our interstage out of a fairing, and now we can go ahead and start and adding a few landing legs. Yeah, so now with that out of the way, we can go ahead and build our upper stage. For this, the poodle engine is the ideal option. The craft is pretty light, so the poodle has enough thrust to weight ratio to make this work, and we'll be loading the upper stage.ks on the kOS core up there. Do note that the upper stage has to be on the part of the vessel which goes to orbit, which makes the orbit. And now you can see that I'm building the first stage. The first stage and second stage have a delta V requirement in total of about 4500 meters per second. The first stage should have a thrust to weight ratio of around 1.5 ideally, and the second stage should have a thrust to weight ratio greater than 0.5. You saw there that I used some landing legs. Those landing legs are from Kerbal Reusability expansion. I use those because they're pretty easy to work with when it comes to 2.5 meter diameter rockets, because none of the landing legs are really built for rockets this size. And but if you want, you can always build your own stock legs. The code will still work either way. Adding a few launch clamps just for stability's sake. And I think that's it. And naming it, so we'll name it Alduin. Nice a little dragon reference there. And yeah, and one more thing, we have to auto strut the tanks because it vibrates like crazy otherwise, and because the kOS core has to make some very rapid movements. I wouldn't advise, don't do this part, don't change the fuel flow priority. You'll see why later in the video. It kind of screws up the landing attempt. But yeah, at the time at least I thought, yeah, this is it. I mean, I've been doing this for what, for like 2 years now, and I was sure that, it's like, yeah, nothing will go wrong here. This launch will work first time, all guarantees. Let's hit that button.
Narrator, it did not.
Okay, so after all those fails, I figured out there were a few bugs. I think I've written them down on the screen. Important note, you have to switch back to the first stage if you want to see it land. The code can't do that. But yeah, now let's just sit back and watch.
I'm touching myself tonight.
And yeah, in the middle of all that, the second stage has gotten itself to orbit. It can do that. The second stage will get to orbit even if you focus on the first stage. That's because of a little physics hack that I've done, inspired by another creator, Ozone 370. And yeah, so you can see here that it has reached an apoapsis of 90 kilometers, but periapsis is a bit low. It's at 61 kilometers. So what it's going to do now, normally it would just warp all the way till apoapsis, but because the first stage has to slow down time warp to land, it's now gone into 1x. So now what we're going to do is we're going to warp the stage up to 4x and then wait until 70 kilometers where the autopilot will take over. While it's going there, I want to talk about a few things. Number one, problem with this code is you can't stage fairings. When fairings is on a stage, it tends to read the stage fuel as 0, and there's part of the code which stages automatically when it reads that the stage fuel is 0, so it'll get tripped. So to use fairings, put them on action group 6 and keep them as not staged. And also make sure that the first stage ignites the engines and releases the clamps together. That is what caused the first crash in the little fail compilation back there, since the land file doesn't have automatic staging. And you cannot quick save until the upper stage is in orbit. The code is loaded into the boot, and what this does is every time you reload a quick save, the code boots up and there's no way for it to know that it's in flight. So it will just it'll go back and start the launch process all over again. I'll try and fix this in a future update, but for now, please don't quick save until the upper stage is in orbit, which should be coming up about now. And as we see there, the upper stage has inserted itself into an orbit of 90 by 72 kilometers. We can go ahead now and activate our happy little mistake, which is we'll be taking this craft to the moon, because when I built it, I had no idea that the upstage would have that much delta V left over. So we can do a mon transfer most of the way with the remaining fuel in the upper stage. And it also lets me show off another cool autopilot, that is Drogon.ks. Now, Drogon.ks theoretically can take a spacecraft all the way from the launch pad to the moon's surface. It can't precision land on the moon, it'll just land at the nearest possible point. But yeah, now here we're running Drogon. And another cool feature is if you run it in low Kerbal orbit, it'll automatically jump to a moon transfer. This is thanks to some code from Marcus House. And yeah, we'll just see it run around now. It's time warping to the transfer window. So it should jump out of time warp. It should orient itself and start burning. As you can see there, it's put itself into a trajectory for a moon intercept, and we'll be time warping and also speeding up the video a bit to get there quickly. And once it reaches the moon, the code kind of does a check to make sure the periapsis is in the right range. Then it'll continue on to the circularization burn. And you can see here that burn is started, and the capsule will decelerate. And you can see the apoapsis coming down there. And it'll go to a more or less circular orbit, about as much as it can do with just a direct retrograde burn. And yeah, there we go. And here I had a bit of a bug. The landing code wouldn't initialize. And I scratched my head a bit over this, and I went to check the code. And then I realized that I have not included a way to get the transfer code to then transition to the landing code. And bit of oversight on my part. But okay, so I went ahead, manually aborted the program, and then ran the drogonland.ks, which does the landing. And it'll perform one quick deorbit burn. Landing legs deploy too. I'm not sure why I put that in the code, but it's there. And now it'll cut. It's just waiting for hover slam. This is kind of a hover slam. It'll hover slam to a point a few hundred meters above the surface. And you can see here that burn will start about now. And now that we have a good burn, we can wait. We can wait for the burn to end. I think I've sped this up. Yeah. So I've switched the altimeter to radar mode so that we can get a more accurate view of the altitude. And you might be a little concerned at how fast it's dropping, but the autopilot is designed just to balance out. And now here's a problem. Here's a real problem with this code. The craft physically can't land on a slope. So I tried to put in code to make sure that it finds the shallowest portion of land, but it can't do that just yet. So for now, we'll just watch the code crash the craft. And there it is. Yep, not my proudest moment, but I've had much worse fails in developing this autopilot. But yeah, we can just go ahead, we can time warp today just to see where we've landed. I hope I didn't overshoot it too badly. Hey, for landing blind, it didn't do too bad. It's just that we landed on the rim. Yeah, But luckily we have a bit of a flat area nearby, so in the future I'll probably send a rescue mission here to rescue the stranded Kerbals, maybe even a fully automated mission. And hopefully by that time I'll have an autopilot that can figure out where to land. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. And I just want to say thank you for watching this far. And if you enjoy what I do, please do like, subscribe, and if you have any suggestions for me to improve this code, and comment. I have linked my GitHub repository in the description. You feel free to use the code as you wish. And this is Nitin Murthy, and I'll catch you next time.